Hello YouTube! Today I am going to teach you a different technique for introducing contrast and texture into your artwork. It makes your artwork engaging. It makes the audience want to, it invites them into it. Your subject matter is really important and your composition is really important, but when there's interest in the shadow and when there's kind of texture that's unexpected, it draws you in, and that to me is a really successful artwork. I love a piece of art that I can just get lost in. Lately I have been sharing some progress videos of my heron piece that I've been working on. I have opted to try to keep some of the transparency in the piece by then using line work to create the texture and the depth. Now when I zoom in on all my videos I can never get it to focus, but hopefully you can see there. You don't necessarily have to do it with a color-based work either. You can still use it with black and white. What I love about using this kind of style is you can experiment around with the pattern fill and create like a really awesome dynamic in the piece by contrasting your pattern fills. What you use to make the line work is completely up to you. Any of these things would be fine. Make sure that you become very familiar with the line making that your media does. Make sure that you know the speed at which you can do the line and make sure that the ink kind of keeps up with it. Make sure that it is a comfortable pen for you to hold and that it makes the kind of line that makes your heart sing. For me, that unfortunately has to be the most expensive pen that you could probably buy, which is this one by Rotring. It has a tiny little nib, but it makes this beautiful scratching sound. It just, when you're drawing it, it's awesome. Really worth investing a ridiculous amount of money in it. But anyway, that's my pen. The beautiful cat demonstration that I prepared earlier. You can see on the first one that I was a little bit out of practice drawing a cat, and it slowly improved, although still lacking as far as masterpiece goes. You can see in the second one I've introduced some line work which helps to kind of increase the contrast and add the texture. And then you can see here on this side that I've applied a few washes of watercolor. Even though it's made the contrast between the line work and that color more subtle, the texture is still there. Start from the cat, or whatever it is that you're drawing, and move away from it. Successful line work's really confident. You're going to get into a rhythm, you're going to go at a reasonable speed. And if you are going towards the cat, when you have kind of got the end line in sight, you can tend to slow down, the line becomes a bit inconsistent and you can sometimes get the wobbles. Lastly, you can see that you don't just have to stick with stock standard straight line work. My most favorite, although it is most time consuming, is the little circle. It creates just this really fantastic texture. It's very easy to kind of stretch out the circles, or the density of the circles, to kind of add in another aspect of tonality in your background. When I do my circle, I have a tendency to slant it, especially when I'm going at speed. And so if I alternate clockwise with anti-clockwise circles, then it tends to kind of balance all of that out. My main thing is just experiment. Don't worry, get a scrap piece of paper and just have fun practicing with lots of different fills, and then that'll help you to warm up as well before you start your main piece. Using a technique like this is such a cool way to kind of just take your artwork to the next level.